As you can probably tell, I don't come from around here. I'm actually from across the water in the UK. In the UK, we have a saying that you will often hear. It's mustn't grumble. Now, I'll give you an example. We might be asked, we are sometimes asked, how are you? And in England, we would say, oh, well, mustn't grumble. We are asked sometimes, how's the family? And we will say, well, they're okay, mustn't grumble. How's work? It's okay, mustn't grumble. But we do grumble. We grumble a lot. Mustn't grumble. It's quite a British understatement, isn't it? We grumble about everything. Take the weather, for example. The weather is one of our favourite topics of grumbling. If it's hot, we complain that the sun is too bright and we're getting sunburnt. If it's cooler, we complain that the sun never shines in England, which is probably true. If it's raining, we grumble and we grouse and we mumble and we moan and we whine and we whinge. We hate the rain in England and we get quite a lot of rain. But then if it's dry, we also complain. The grass isn't green enough, or the ground is too hard, or the reservoirs are getting low. We grumble all the time. It's part of being British. The week before I came over to the United States, I made a little list of some of the other grumbles that I heard people making. I made a little list, and they include the following. People grumbled about the government quite a lot. They grumbled about the Prime Minister. They grumbled about the amount we pay in tax. They grumbled about the amount that footballers, professional footballers, were paid. They grumbled about the media. Everybody grumbles about the media. They grumbled about the state of Britain's roads and the state of Britain's schools. They grumbled about the food that was sold in supermarkets. They even grumbled about the water that we drink. Seriously. It's too hard, or it's too soft, or there are too many chemicals in it, or there aren't enough chemicals in it, or it doesn't taste good anymore. Grumble, grumble, grumble. But it seems that we're not the only ones who grumble. People in the United States seem to grumble quite a lot. They don't seem to use the phrase like we do, mustn't grumble. I'm told by American friends that they have their own phrase. Can't complain. How are you today? Oh, gee, can't complain. How's the family? Oh, they're okay, can't complain. How's work been recently? Oh, it's been okay, can't complain. But they do complain. They complain just like we British do. I'll give you an example. I recently visited a prestigious private high school. Now, the meals at this high school are really, really good. They are nutritious, plentiful, and freshly prepared. Some of the best meals I have ever had at any school in America or in the UK. And I have visited many schools in both these countries. I was asking a group of students at this school how many of them had complained about the food that they were served on a daily basis. And you know what? All of them. Every single one of them had complained. And it was at that moment that I began to realise that there seemed to be something missing in their education. But what is education? Tony Blair said in 1996, the year before he was due to become Prime Minister of our country, ask me my three main priorities for government, and I tell you, education, and education, and education. 5 years later, the year before he was due to win his second term, he said something similar. Our top priority was, is, and always will be education, education, education. At a good school, children learn the value of life, what it is to be responsible citizens who give something back to their community. So what is education? Well, I've been in education almost my whole life. First as a student and then as a teacher. And I can tell you that most of the things I learned at school have very little relevance to my daily life. We didn't seem to learn some of the really important life lessons that I feel are now essential. The main lesson in school was always about performance, making sure the performance of the students was good in exams, making sure that the performance of the school football team was really good. That seemed to matter more than many other life lessons that I've since learned are perhaps much more important. When I was at school, I learnt in geography what an oxbow lake is and how it is formed. But I can tell you, quite honestly, that I have never used that bit of information until this moment, until giving this talk. We learnt in history about George III, that great king who came to the throne in 1760. That hasn't been much use to me now either. We also learnt about copper sulfate crystals in chemistry. I learnt that they're blue, unless of course they're dried out, and then they're white. But that hasn't done me much good either. We didn't seem to know the important things. What Tony Blair said, what it is to be responsible citizens who give something back to their community. I've come to the conclusion there are two lessons above all that all students and all pupils should learn at school. The first of these is the importance of tolerance. I really do believe that every student should learn to be tolerant of people who are different, from a different religion, culture, class, age, sex, sexuality, whatever the difference may be. I think that is a critically important lesson. Most schools in the West seem to deliver that lesson reasonably effectively. Children are taught to be tolerant and not to discriminate. The second lesson that I think is equally important is for children, students, adults to learn to appreciate what they have, to learn that they are actually privileged, that they are fortunate, that they've got a lot to be thankful for. And I'm not sure that this lesson is delivered effectively enough. I'd like to tell you about two families. One family lives here in the US. There are two children, their brother and sister, and they are twins. They live with their mother and father in a small apartment in Queens, New York. Father is a builder, and the family are not really what you would call particularly well off. But they're very nice, and they're very pleasant, and they seem pretty happy. I got talking to these two young people, and I asked them what they spent their spare money on over a month. What those little luxuries that make life a pleasure, that make life worth living, that really make life enjoyable. Things that aren't absolutely necessary, that are pleasant and fun, and make life something a little bit better. The little luxuries in life. They very kindly made me a list. They had spent money, it turns out, on candy. They had spent money on their cell phones. They had spent money on a ticket to go and see a movie, plus popcorn and soda. The daughter had had some makeup items. Between them, they'd had a trip to McDonald's and a trip to KFC. 2 teen lifestyle magazines. Birthday cards for 3 friends. iTunes downloads. 2 haircuts, 1 for the boy, 1 for the girl. Girl included styling and highlighting. And finally, they went to a local concert and had bought some local tour merchandise. Not a huge amount of money. Not a huge amount of money. And I'm sure there are some students, some children in America and elsewhere who spend a great deal more. But still quite a nice amount. Question was, did they appreciate the life that they led? Were they grateful? Did they ever say the words, thank you? Not very often. In fact, you regularly still heard them grumbling about this and about that. I met another family earlier in the year. They don't live in the US, they live in Kenya. There are 5 children. They live with their mother. The eldest boy is called Philip. They live in Kibera, and Kibera is a slum. They all live just beside the slum. There is their house. Behind the house, raw sewage is running very close by. They all live together in one room, which they all share and is used for all purposes. Now, Philip goes to school. Philip is a proud boy. He is also aged 15. And his school uniform costs 75 cents. His mother can't afford that. Philip is a proud boy, and he wants to be like the other children. And so, as you will see, he has drawn the name of his school with a pen onto his white shirt. Food is very basic. It's likewise the supply of water. They are lucky. They have a standpipe fairly close, but they still have to go and collect it and walk some considerable distance to get themselves back to their home. That's his sister. Food, as I said, is essentially very basic. Shima is crushed maize mixed with water. It doesn't taste very nice. There is a shop locally which is selling fish. Not fish, perhaps, like we would expect fish, but fish heads. Fish heads that are boiled up into a sort of fish head soup. There is actually no extra charge for the flies. But do you ever hear Philip complaining? Do you ever hear him grumbling? Actually, no. I've never heard him, his mother, or his siblings ever grumble at all. And how much money did he have for the month that I went and visited? 10 cents, which he was given by a local passing tourist. He was delighted. He bought an artificial rose for his mother. It was Valentine's Day, and he wanted to brighten up their house. Quite a difference. So, is there a way that we could help children like Philip? But also, and that's the point of this talk, is there also a way that we can help educate our own children to appreciate what they've got so they don't grumble so much? So perhaps they may be thankful for what they have and appreciate their position of privilege. Well, I've come to the conclusion that perhaps there is a way. And I'd like to introduce you to a little organisation in Africa. It's a little charity. It was founded in 2006 by Hannah Howard and her husband Ted. It caters for the needs of 115 slum children. 70 of them are orphans, and only 5 of them are living with both mother and father. It's a great organisation, and I'm sure there are lots of other charities that do similar work. But Hannah Howard Fund is a little bit different, and I would like to explain why. It focuses on 4 elements. Firstly, nutrition. The children in the organisation, the children are given meals on a regular daily basis for nutrition and to counteract the effects of malnutrition, but also to aid brain development. The second element, element number 2, their medical needs are regularly attended to. So, for example, they can receive prescription drugs. Their eye care and dental care is looked after. The third element, element number 3, important, recreation. At weekends and after school, they are given the opportunity to indulge in sport, art, drama, music, crafts, and essentially computer learning, computer training. But it's the fourth element, element number 4, that is so important and perhaps sets this organisation apart from many others. Interestingly, you can actually support this organisation. They have their own American branch. It's called Friends of Hannah Howard Fund, United States. There is a picture of us at the centre. So, education, the fourth element. They say our mission is to achieve self-reliance for 115 orphaned and vulnerable slum children through education. Education is our number 1 priority. We believe that the prospects of a promising future are linked to a great education that will lead to gaining marketable skills and sustained employment. Every child at HHF attends a private day school. Every child. Every child has a chance to escape poverty. Every child receives an education that is going to guarantee them a possible future. Yeah, that's all very well, but what about the cost? Costs money. Yes, it does. So what HHF does is they encourage individual sponsors from around the world, including the United States, to sponsor individual children. These sponsors can keep sight of the progress of the child through Skype, email, and on occasion, like we have done, by visiting the centre itself. They can see what a difference their money is making. And most important of all, there are no middlemen. The money is paid directly to the schools themselves, so there's no chance of it going astray. The model, in my view, is a really, really good one. Very low costs, administration costs, and a real result. Since 2006, numerous children have been able to escape poverty. Numerous children have been set on the road to self-reliance. Children who would otherwise have been uncared for, uneducated, malnourished, and most important of all, unaware of the potential that lies within them. So what is the cost? Just $100 a month to make that difference. I would therefore like to make a suggestion. How can you help children like Philip, but also make a difference to our own children's education? How can we get our own children to learn their sense of privilege, to appreciate what they have, to actually say thank you once in a while? I believe that every school in the US in particular, and also in the UK, should be encouraged to sponsor an individual child. Sponsor a child to make a real difference that they can see, that they can watch happening. But also so that we can actually start to educate our own children about a really important value in life, to appreciate what they have. So, maybe, if we can do this, maybe we'll stop our own children grumbling. Maybe if you say to them, "How are you?" Maybe if they say, "Mustn't grumble," maybe you ought to say to them and anybody else who says that or can't complain, "Mustn't grumble. Do you know what? You really mustn't." Thank you.